So after dark is usually indication of a time of day, but it's also type of an activity. And the type of after dark activity I've been involved in often happen in daylight. And this is a story about one of those. So I'm 19 years old, New York City, summertime. I'm wearing a Vietnam War era flying jumpsuit and black high tops without socks. I've been doing push-ups and bench presses and bag work for about a year, and if I run into a brick wall, that wall would totally fucking apologize. I had a haircut last week. My friend Mike cut it. He said, you know I'm gonna fuck it up. I said, I know, that's why I'm asking you. I'm not wearing theatrical makeup, but it looks like I do because I forgot to remove the eyeliner I had the night before. Now I'm sitting in the back of a huge American car, flying somewhere towards Jersey, and I'm barely holding on. Now this was a period when I hung out with a bunch of Russian feral street punks, and we lived for the after dark type of activity. And we didn't really care when we did it. And we smoked a lot of weed and dropped acid on a very regular basis. We read the Up and Down with the Rolling Stones, and we read in that book that Brian Jones took acid, went to sleep, and woke up tripping. And so on the morning of this auspicious day, I woke up in the house of my mom, of the mom of my friend Slava in Astoria. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. I took a blood of acid and swallowed it. I went over to the next room, woke up Slava, put the blood in his mouth, and we both went back to sleep. Woke up about an hour later in the greatest of moods. We went out to walk around Astoria, to look at the Astoria waking up, tripping out on that kind of an environment, and agreed that the acid we were on was quite mild, so we split another hit. And that's when Slava ran into some friends of his, this girl Lena and her boyfriend Igor and his mom. And just as he did, I started thinking that we were wrong and this acid wasn't that mild. And that's when he comes up to me and says, come on, get in the car. And because I'm in go with the flow kind of mode, I just get in the car and then I sit next to Slava and he's sitting next to the mom. And because I'm tripping, I have a hard time understanding Russian, my native language, but somehow I managed to paste together the fact that we are heading to Renaissance Fair in Teaneck, New Jersey. And just right there, I realized that acid is not mild at all. So we pull into this gas station somewhere in Jersey, and I managed to find my voice to say that let me come out and have a cigarette. And as I come out, the blue sky and the green trees completely gets me into a different radio station, and I feel peaceful and relaxed and determined and high as fuck. And I feel better. And when Slava comes up to me, I tell him I'm not getting back in there. And he goes to the car and says something, and the car peels off. When he comes back, I said to him, are you okay? And he goes, my brain is trying to get back home to the moon. And just as he says it, I realized that where we are, this gas station, is an island. It's an island on Garden Parkway, which is surrounded by 4 lanes of fast-moving traffic. And as far as we can see, all we see around that is cars and trees. And the only way to get off this island is hitchhiking. But we spend about 15 minutes tripping on the cars and, how life is an illusion. And then we have to steady ourselves to find our way off this island. And this is a good time for me to tell you what Slava looks like. Now, more than anything, Slava looks like a toddler. He has the stand, which is like overly stable and also fighting for balance. He has the cherubic map of curly hair and the Cupid fleshy lips, and his hands seem to be always open like this. And his personal style is probably best described as a pret-émigré. It's a type of style which is achieved when your mom buys all your clothing in a neighborhood store, guided mostly on what is on sale. And with all this, he is standing about 6'4", 250 of relevant manual labor muscle. And so the thing about hitchhiking, somebody has to stop and pick you up. And who's going to pick up crazy-eyed baby Hulk and Billy Idol Jr.? But acid sometimes tends to bend reality. And so as soon as we raise our thumbs, this older model Chevy pulls over. This guy says his name is Rod, and he's driving from Cornell. He gives me a friendly, calloused hand and says, don't worry, I'll take you into the city. And within a couple of minutes, he realizes that we're tripping, and we start having this conversation with him about duality of existence and how you can interdimensional travel is possible if you know how to find the right doors, and duplicity of social conditioning, the kind of stuff you talk about in acid, except he's not on acid, and it's kind of trippy. And then we're in New York, and we're cutting through Central Park. We're going over 86th Street Drive, heading right towards the epicenter of old money, Upper East Side. He takes a right on Park Avenue, and I'm saying, so where did you grow up, Rod? And he goes, right up there. You want to come up for a beer? And we go, sure. And so he pulls up to this building that's really kind of a castle in disguise. And the valet takes the Chevy, and the doorman is really happy to see him, really unhappy to see us. And then we go up, and we find ourselves in one of those remarkable New York City apartments, which seem to be like rolling dark wood hallways with books in it and endless photos of famous American literacy with this couple. And Rod says that's his parents. And then we go out on the balcony, and he brings a few beers. And from the 18th floor, I can see right across Central Park, all the way to Columbus Circle. And I'm thinking, sometimes those doors just open on their own. But we gotta go, because we have to keep moving. So we're in Central Park and find ourselves in Central Park Zoo, and I find myself face to face with a camel, and he's totally got my number. But I chase the paranoia away and run into the trees and find a rock and spread myself in the sun and freeze like a lizard. I don't know how much time passed, but suddenly there is rain, and it comes down heavy like a sign from God coming whipping down in a punishing burst. And Slava says, there is something I always wanted to do, and runs. Now, Slava was the type of guy whose ideas could get you in handcuffs or in the hospital, but acid says run, so I run. And we run through this crazy rain, and we run. He runs up to 50th and 6th, where Radio City Music Hall is, where across the street used to be a terrible monstrosity of a 1960s fountain, and a total waste of potential real estate. Now there is a 90s monstrosity in that place. But he runs up to it, and he dives into the fountain like a Captain Sparrow, just like without any hesitation. And as soon as he does, I realize that I too always wanted to do this. And as soon as we're in the water, we splash and dive and laugh and swim and scream and dance and sing and express our joy in every way possible. And suddenly, through the thundering rain, we can hear cheering and applauding coming from across the street, because across the street, there's about 200 people hiding from the rain under the Radio City Music Hall awning. And many of them are applauding us. They're just cheering us for our wonderful gesture and our crazy celebration of rain. And that applause seemed genuine and joyful and absolutely deserved. And we take it in, like this day, like the rain, like our youth, and drink it up. Because if life gives you a fountain, you drink it. Thank you very much.